All right, let's talk about something that affects millions and millions of us, the future of Social Security. We're going to look at some good news that's right around the corner, but also dig into the really serious long-term challenges, and of course, the political choices that are going to shape what happens next. So let's dive in. First up, let's just start with this number, 2.8%. This single percentage is a pretty big deal, and it's projected to have a direct impact on the finances of tens of millions of people. But what is it exactly? Well, that's the projected cost of living adjustment, or as you'll probably hear it called, the COLA. It's that feature built right into Social Security that's supposed to help your benefits keep up with inflation, so your money doesn't buy less and less over time. Okay, so a percentage is one thing, but what does that 2.8% actually mean for your wallet? Well, for the 75 million people who get benefits, it works out to an average bump of about $56 a month, a tangible bit of help to cover those rising costs for everyday stuff. And this isn't just some minor tweak. It's fundamental to what the program is all about. As the Social Security Administration Commissioner, Frank J. Bisognano, put it, this adjustment is absolutely vital. It's how the system keeps its promise to provide a stable foundation. So that's the good news for the short term. But, and you knew there was a but coming, this yearly adjustment really shines a spotlight on a much, much bigger and more complicated question about the system's health down the road. And here it is. This is the million-dollar question, or maybe the trillion-dollar question that everyone is asking. Can the system actually afford to keep making these kinds of promises, not just next year, but for decades to come? The Social Security Administration's own experts are projecting a pretty significant challenge on the horizon. They're talking about a serious long-term funding gap. And to really get what that means, there's a key idea we need to unpack. And that idea is called the actuarial shortfall. Now, it sounds super technical, I know, but the concept is pretty straightforward. It's basically the difference between the money Social Security expects to bring in through taxes and the money it's already promised to pay out in benefits over the next 75 years. It's kind of like the system's long-term deficit. And this isn't just some vague, far-off problem. Nope. They've put a very specific number on it, 3.82%. So what on earth does that mean? To put it as simply as possible, if we wanted to make the system financially sound for the next 75 years, we would need to, starting right now, either raise the payroll tax by 3.82% forever, or make an equivalent cut to benefits, or, and this is more likely, find some combination of both. Now, I know that sounds pretty daunting, but here's the thing. This is not an unsolvable problem. In fact, Social Security's own experts have actually laid out a whole bunch of ways we could tackle this. The Office of the Chief Actuary has basically put together what you could call a menu of fixes for lawmakers to look at. Each option on the menu has a different effect, and each one impacts different people in different ways. There's no one perfect, easy solution here. Every single choice involves a trade-off. So let's take a look at this menu. It's actually fascinating. You can see the different levers they could pull. For instance, just reducing that annual COLA by 1 percentage point, that alone could wipe out over half of the shortfall. Or there's a more technical fix called price indexing. Basically, it means initial benefits would grow a little slower. That could fix almost 3/4 of the problem. And then on the other side, if you wanted to bring in more money, raising the payroll tax by just 1% would close about 1/4 of the gap. See? Each one is a powerful tool with different consequences. But, these technical fixes on paper are one thing. In the real world, they get thrown into a much bigger and, often very heated political debate. So let's look at a real-world example. A recent proposal from the Trump campaign decided to come at this issue, but from a tax policy angle. The idea was to create a new tax deduction just for seniors. So on the one hand, the stated goal was pretty clear. Give seniors some tax relief. Who doesn't like that? But then a nonpartisan group, the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, ran the numbers, and they projected a completely different impact. They warned that a policy like this could actually make the trust fund run out of money even faster. And let's get into the nitty-gritty of what that analysis found, because these numbers are pretty eye-opening. The CRFB figured that related proposals could push the date the fund goes broke up by 3 years to 2031, and that could trigger a massive across-the-board benefit cut of 33%. For your typical retiree, we're talking about a cut of more than $600 every single month. All told, the analysis projected these proposals would add a staggering $2.3 trillion to the program's deficit.
Okay, so we've looked at the good news on benefits, we've stared into the long-term challenges, and we've waded into the politics of it all. So what's the bottom line? What does this all actually mean for you?
When you strip everything else away, it all comes down to a fundamental balancing act. How do we take care of today's retirees, making sure they get the benefits they earned and they need, while at the same time making sure the system is still strong for their kids and grandkids? And that's really the heart of it. The choices that get made in the next few years will decide what that balance looks like. Every single proposal, whether it's tweaking benefits, raising taxes, or changing tax policy, is going to tilt that scale one way or another. The ultimate question isn't if the system will be fixed, it's how. And who will end up bearing the cost of that fix? That's the real conversation.